For centuries, humans have tried to figure out whatever mysteries space has to offer. From ancient Greeks looking into the night sky, philosophers trying to understand why our conscious minds float in this huge space of nothingness, to modern scientists making breakthroughs on an almost daily basis. It is truly exciting being alive in a time where humans finally have the required technology to solve lifelong questions about our existence. I know this part is always annoying in videos. This took a lot of work, so if you enjoy the video, maybe consider liking it and maybe even subscribe. It would help me out a lot. Enjoy! The USA is the third largest country in the world. And still, compared to objects in our universe, it seems but a mere tiny landmark. In 2006, the International Astronomical Union downgraded the status of Pluto to that of a dwarf planet. Back then, I didn't quite understand what the big deal was, until I realized that Pluto's diameter is smaller than the USA. To me, this is mesmerizing. But of course, the size of the USA is still not quite imaginable. Uranus is the third largest planet in our solar system. With 27 moons, it doesn't seem quite that lonely. Triton, one of its moons, is the only object that we know of that orbits its planet backwards. Because of this, Triton's distance to Neptune gets reduced over time. There is something you may have heard of before called the Roche limit. The Roche limit is the minimum distance to which a large satellite can approach its primary body without tidal forces overcoming the internal gravity holding the satellite together. In short, if the moon gets too close to its planet, it will fall apart. We assume that this will happen in the future, potentially forming a ring around Uranus. No worries though, this will take several millions of years. The International Space Station is one of humanity's biggest achievements. Not only did we overcome the boundaries of our own planet, but we did it collaborating with multiple countries. Of course, as one of the most difficult projects ever worked on, it wasn't cheap. In fact, the ISS is the second most expensive project that humanity has ever produced. With an estimated $150 billion in expenses, it is quite literally out of this world. If you wondered, the US highway system takes the #1 spot with about $460 billion. We have truly marked this planet as our own property. You would assume that we have discovered almost every area on Earth. Of course, there are still some remote areas overground that we probably have never seen before. This doesn't compare to our oceans though. We assume that we have discovered about 5% of our entire seas. The other 95% remain a complete mystery. The surprising thing, we know more about Mars and our moon than about our oceans. Through satellites and similar technology, we have mapped the entire surface of both the Moon and the Mars. With NASA and SpaceX getting closer and closer to sending the first people onto Mars, this will only increase our knowledge. But the question remains, what hides in the other 95% of our oceans that we have never seen before? Our Sun is truly massive. Our Sun could fit about 330,000 Earths, or about 1,047 Jupiters. This still doesn't really show how big it actually is. So let me put it into other words, the Sun makes up about 99.86% of our solar system's entire mass. This is truly mesmerizing. It shows how little we actually are. It is quite scary to think about how big our home star actually is. Have you ever wondered how the tides on our oceans are formed? The gravitational pull of both our Sun and our Moon are the main villains in this story. They more or less pull the oceans apart. By our planet orbiting the Sun, and our Moon orbiting our planet, the ocean tides form not only our lives, but especially those of our aquatic friends. The difference between high and low tide is called tide range. The highest tidal ranges are found on the coast of Wales with about 14.5 meters, and at the Dover-Calais Canal. At the very center of our galaxy, there is a so-called supermassive black hole. The name of this black hole is Sagittarius A star. Its mass is about 4.3 million times that of our Sun. So far, almost all galaxies that we have found have such a supermassive black hole. We don't know much about Sagittarius A star. In fact, we don't even have proof that it actually is a black hole, and there might be something completely different at the heart of our galaxy. Maybe you have heard of this one before. It's almost a common saying now. There are more stars in our universe than grains of sand on Earth. Of course, we can't actually know both how many stars there are in the universe, nor how many grains of sand there are on Earth. But we can estimate, because that is what humans do. If you assume a grain of sand has an average size, and you calculate how many grains are in a teaspoon, and then multiply by all the beaches and deserts in the world, the Earth has roughly, and we're speaking very roughly here, 7.5 times 10 to the power of 18 grains of sand, or 7 quintillion. 500 quadrillion grains. We assume that there are 10 to the power of 12 stars in our galaxy alone, with about 10 to the power of 12 galaxies in our universe. By this simple calculation, we get about 10 to the power of 24 stars in our universe. This is of course a very rough estimation, but with it we can say that for every grain of sand on Earth there are possible thousands of stars. My fascination of sand isn't over yet though. These are unimaginable numbers. Our brains can't closely comprehend what these numbers actually mean. So, let's go into the other direction to make it even more confusing. If we take about 3 grams of sand and calculate how many atoms are in them, we get a number that is even higher than the number of stars in our universe. So, let me ask you a question. With each of those stars possibly having multiple planets, do you believe that we are alone in our universe? Tell me in the comments. I am excited to see what you think. Since mind-numbingly numbers are pretty interesting, let me show one to you. 10 to the power of 82. Does that mean anything to you? Probably not. It might seem crazy, but that is the number that scientists believe could represent the number of atoms in our universe. As always, we can't know for sure, but taking guesses has always been and will always be an important part of human history. As a side note, a person with about 70 kilograms roughly consists of 10 to the power of 27 atoms. Is it dark outside where you are watching this video right now? I want you to look at the moon. It seems so far away but yet so close. In fact, it is still our closest neighbor. But once again, the human mind can't comprehend how far it actually is. So let me visualize it for you. We are going to have to cheat a little here, but it's worth the wait, trust me. If you align all of the remaining planets in our solar system side by side, they could fit in between our Earth and our Moon. As I said, a little bit of cheating will be required here. Most planets are at some spots more squashed than on others because of rotation and other factors. If we perfectly align them though, they will fit. And yet humanity has managed to overcome that distance and send people up there. Quite amazing in my opinion. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's the first one of many to come. This took a lot of work and I spent quite a few hours on it. I know it is quite annoying, but I kindly ask you to like this video if you enjoyed it and comment your opinions. I will make sure to read all of them. If you like these sorts of videos, maybe consider subscribing. It would help me out a lot. Till next time.